because three things are going to change with the passing of time. One is, we know from previous crises, the first reaction of people is massive solidarity shock, but then people want to go back to normal. They're exhausted. They cannot stay with this. I cannot watch the war anymore. And particularly if you're going to see certain type of a frozen conflict type of a development somewhere in the beginning of the summer, people try normally to forget the awful things that are happening around them. So the pressure on politicians are not going to be the same. Secondly, economic sanctions are hurting Russia. They're going to hurt us too. And by the way, this is part of the sanctions. In a certain way, the strength of the country is not to show what you can do to others, but to show that you have the capacity to endure pain. Because this is this is in fact what it is about. But then suddenly you have a conversation talking also about Germany. To say that you're going to reduce so dramatically the dependence on the Russian gas and oil, and particularly gas is what really matters, it means that Germany can end up in the next winter with rationing electricity. Listen, this is Germany, it's not Bulgaria. So people have a certain expectations about what is a comfortable life and so on and so on. And then it's very important where the society is going to stand on this. The power to make a distinctions, in my view, is a difference between good policy and bad policy. We have a very close family friend who was probably one of famous theater critics. She was one of the intendant of the Vienna Theater Festival. So 3 hours after the war started, Marina Davidova, basically she initiated the petition against the war. And there was pressure on him. At some point, she basically had to leave. She left and she said, when I was in a country, basically I was treating as if being part of the Ukrainian resistance. When I left the country, I was treated like somebody with the Russian passport. This should, in my view, is simply wrong. It's wrong on a moral issue. It's also very much wrong on political issues. On the other side, there are people who not simply made their career by supporting President Putin, but they decided to stay with him during this war. For example, Mr. Gergiev, who is a very gifted conductor, is like this. This is also his personal choice. By the way, he was rewarded now. He's going to be the director both of Bolshoi Theater and Mariinsky Theater. So this is choices. But in my view, all these people should be judged on their individual choices. And this is why kind of the fight, because the West is united. Non-Western world condemned Russia, but they didn't join our sanctions. Even big countries like India and so on that you expect. So this is going to be also a very difficult period to try to convince others that the more they're tolerating this regime, basically the longer the war will go. To be the most important for European Union. Paradoxically, it's not the first 100 but the second 100 days that are going to decide are we going to make it, where we're going to shape it, where our publics are going to stand, and how much risk our politicians are ready to take. So in a certain way, we cannot live with the idea that in 6 months he'll go. You cannot base your policies on this. Secondly, you cannot base your policy on the idea that even if the hostility is going to stop, you can go back to normal. You cannot call somebody a war criminal and just to believe that the next day everything is going to be like it was before, because then this is totally demoralizing for society. You simply cannot do it for yourself, because of yourself.
What Obama had the problem with
exactly. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. And to be honest, all the Ukrainians who are going to be in our cities, they're not going to allow this to happen. Yes. Because for these people, this is not a talk. Their houses, their lives have been totally changed.